Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you are enjoying this year's virtual NYU Alumni and Parents Weekend. My name is Valerie Cabral, and I am the Director of Alumni Relations at NYU Tandon School of Engineering in downtown Brooklyn, still affectionately known to many as Brooklyn Poly. On behalf of all of us at NYU Tandon, I hope that you and your loved ones continue to be safe and healthy. And that said, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I wish to thank Dean Yelena Kovacevic, Polytechnic Alumni Association President and NYU Tandon Board Member Robert V. Jones, class of '87, Jonathan Avens, class of 1971, as well as our honorees today, the class of 1971, on their milestone birthday, 50 years since their graduation from our school. Thank you all for taking part in today's program. Collectively, our presence as the School of Engineering alumni, faculty, students, parents, administrators, staff, and friends brings some 167 years plus of innovative history and legacy, and I should say living legacy, to NYU, and it is sure to bring us even greater heights as we continue our mission to educate the next diverse and inclusive generation of science, technology, engineering, and math professionals. The Heights and Polytechnic legacy remains strong as Tandon today holds true to our commitment to educate first-generation college goers across the United States and across the globe. We are grateful to each of you, our valued alumni, for your continued love and passionate support of your alma mater during these challenging times of growth and of late during the COVID crisis and the social and political unrest. Today, we'd like to begin our program by honoring you, the members of the class of 1971, as you mark 50 years since graduating with degree from the then Polytechnic Institute of Brooklyn Polytechnic, NYU School of Engineering and Science. As you can see, we're doing some things a little differently right now due to the continued pandemic, but we look forward to gathering again for in-person celebrations as soon as we're able to do so. And we all welcome that opportunity and hope that that will be real soon. On behalf of the School of Engineering, I applaud all of you for your career accomplishments throughout these past 50 years. You are an inspiration, especially to our current students, and remain an integral part of our past, present, and our future. That said, it is a pleasure to be joined by Jonathan Avens, class of 1971, who will receive the certificate of induction into our school's Golden Jubilee Society on behalf of himself and his fellow classmates. Those present today will be receiving their certificates and gift by postal mail soon. This morning, they took part, many of you were there to witness it, in their induction into the Prestari Society. So it's a double celebration for our class of 1971 today, and we're so honored that they can be here with us and that all of you are here to share in that moment. However, before Jonathan says a few words, please enjoy a brief look back from the class of 1971 Poly Yearbook.
Holly and Valerie. I don't think anybody's seeing it.
I'm trying to figure it out too. Alexandra, we're not seeing the slideshow.
That's strange. Okay, let me start from the beginning.
Better.
Thanks.
Okay, we see your screen.
How about now? Can you see me now?
We can see the screen. You can advance it. Advance. Great, thank you.
Okay.
I now at this time would like to welcome Jonathan to say a few words and accept on behalf of the class of 1971, the Golden Jubilee Society certificate that we are presenting today. Jonathan, you can unmute yourself.
Yep, I just did. Thank you.
Sure.
It's my honor to accept the certificate of induction for the class of 71 on the 50th anniversary of our graduation. I think I share with the rest of my classmates the amazement of the time that has passed. I was fortunate to be a third generation graduate of Brooklyn Poly, having followed in the steps of a great uncle and an uncle over that time. Looking back, we as a group have lived through numerous historical events during our college years that impacted and shaped our lives. From being the first real TV generation to living through the space race, to experiencing the first selective service draft lottery, to protesting the war in Vietnam, to having handheld calculators having become mainstream while we were in school. And in addition to having the popular music change dramatically with the British invasion, to more importantly, the political chaos that happened in the 1960s. Our time at Brooklyn Poly covered all of these events, as well as our coming of age as adults, of men and women of both science and technology. At Poly, we gained knowledge and wisdom that allowed us to participate as leaders in our chosen fields throughout the following 50 years. As time went by, I grew to increased appreciation of my brothers of Alpha Phi Omega, the National Service Fraternity, my professors who I kept in touch with over the years, as well as other classmates that I met along the way. To use one of the idioms of our college time, it was a wild ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to take a moment to actually read what is inscribed on the certificate, which has been signed by our dean. New York University Tandon School of Engineering, hereby certifies that class of 1971 is a member of the Golden Jubilee Society. Those alumni of NYU Tandon, formerly Polytechnic, and NYU School of Engineering and Science, who through 5 decades have in their personal lives and by their professional accomplishments given evidence to the ideals of their alma mater and have added dignity and luster to its name. Signed today's date, and of course by Dean Jelena Kovacevic. Now, I'd like to welcome our moderator for today's conversation with Dean Jelena, Robert V. Jones, President of the Polytechnic Alumni Association and NYU Tandon board member. Robert graduated from what we affectionately always call Poly in 1987, where he received his Master's of Science degree in electrical and electronic engineering. He is the president and chief executive officer of Pre-Safe Technologies. Welcome, Robert.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Valerie, and welcome everyone. And above all, congratulations, class of 1971, on this auspicious occasion. I happened to participate in the Festari celebration event this morning, and wow, 1971 certainly was an interesting time. We applaud you for the contributions that have paved the way for so many advancements in society. Now, I'm super excited for this opportunity for lunchtime dialogue with Dean Jelena. But first, let me begin by saying a few words about Dean Jelena. And then we'll jump right into our much anticipated conversation. Jelena Kovacevic became the Dean of the NYU Tandon School of Engineering in August 2018. She is the first woman to head the school since its founding in 1854 as the Brooklyn Collegiate and Polytechnic Institute. She received the Diploma Electrical Engineering degree from the EE Department, University of Belgrade, Yugoslavia in 1986, and the MS and PhD degrees from Columbia University in 1988 and 1991, respectively. Before joining NYU, she was the Hammerschlag University professor, head of electrical and computer engineering, and professor of biomedical engineering at Carnegie Mellon University. Kovacevic, the author of several books and award-winning papers, as well as the founder and co-chair of the Northeast Regional Dean's Council, abbreviated NERDS, has also worked at Bell Labs and was the co-founder and technical vice president of X Waveforms. Her research interests include biomedical imaging, as well as multi-resolution techniques such as wavelets and frames. And her many laurels include an IEEE Signal Processing Society Technical Achievement Award. Dean Jelena, your background is impressive, and equally what is happening here at Tandon is impressive as well. So I certainly wanted to begin with some questions to help explore and share with our guests and alumni guests today just what's happening. Of course, it's all about right now, unconventional and unprecedented and perhaps even uncertain. But as we emerge from the pandemic toward better days, how has the NYU Tandon community come together, and what insights can we carry forward?
Thank you, Robert. Let me just start by welcoming everybody today. I'm very excited to see you. As Robert said, like him, I'm also an electrical engineer by training. The years of my graduation date me as the music also that was playing before. This was great. But one thing I wanted to say is that when I was studying in Belgrade, my favorite book, I'm a total math nerd, was the book on stochastics that was authored by Papoulis. I still have this book that's all tattered because it was international student edition, so it had thin paper. Who was a professor at Poly, a very, very famous professor. So who knew that, sort of close the circle that so many years later, I would be the dean of that school. And that sort of makes all this very personal to me. So I have a very, even though I have been at the school only since 2018, I have a very personal and emotional connection to it. And that's very important because, you know, every morning when I get out of bed, I'm excited about, you know, what we can do to make the school even better. So one thing I wanted to say is that over the past 19 months since COVID hit, we've been operating sort of on two parallel tracks. The urgent and important challenges of COVID, of course, but also the not so urgent, but even more important sort of dreaming big strategies where we want the school to go. And while we're not completely out of the tunnel yet, as evidenced by the fact that we're still sitting on a Zoom call, we are all cautiously optimistic when it comes to COVID, and we are really incredibly proud of how we have responded to it and excited where we are after having gone through probably the biggest test in our school's history. So I don't want to talk about COVID much, but I do want to celebrate how we have all together, you know, all our friends and alums, faculty, staff, students, parents, everybody, come together and steer this ship through the stormy waters and into on an exciting path to the future. And so I hope that some of the things that we share today will leave you with an enormous sense of pride of what we have been able to accomplish. And like our little poly tandem ship, or however we want to call it, because it has changed names about as many times as the country I come from. I keep on saying to people, had I kept up with the passports of my former country, I would have had 7 by now. So, you know, it just tells you. But, you know, we keep on kind of rising from the ashes like the phoenix, which is amazing. And, you know, we have been on a transformative path. You know, we were number 80 in the rankings in 2009. Today, we're number 36. And we have risen through the rankings faster than any school ever. And additionally, we're now the only school of our size, which is really comparably tiny when you look at only tenured and tenure track professors, which is how the schools are kind of measured, that is as highly ranked as we are. So this is pretty impressive. And just to put, I want to put this number 36 because everybody's like, why aren't we number 5, right? That would be great. I just want to put this in perspective. In 2018, there were 393 institutions in the US that were awarding some sort of an engineering degree. They're at bachelor's, master's, or doctoral levels. And if you add computer science to it, that's 431. So by any of these measures, we're in top 10%, and that's not where we were a decade ago. So we are very proud of what we have done. And Robert, if you'd allow me, I thought it would be nice to just share some stats with people because it kind of, they illustrate, apart from the rankings, which is just one measure, of where we are on a number of things. So for example, our research expenditures, and I'm speaking now only the last 4 years, not the decade now, just 4 years. Our research expenditures have gone up 56%. The number of our PhDs graduated has gone up 55%. Our undergraduate admit rate has gone down 26%, which means we have many more than we can accept. The number of our undergraduate applications has gone up 53%. The SAT points have gone up by 120 points. Our 6-year graduation rate has gone up by 10%, just in 4 years.
Wow.
The percentage of undergraduate women has gone up by 5%, and we are about twice the national rate of women in engineering in our school. The percentage of our undergraduate underrepresented minority population has gone up by 6%. The salaries that our undergraduates command has gone up by 56%. We have engaged 700% more companies than we did 4 years ago to recruit our students and collaborate with us. Our graduate applications are up by 70%. The number of our US master students up by 15%. Our online numbers have gone by 700%, and many, many, many more. Increasing student engagement in research and entrepreneurship. The number of students engaging in global opportunities have quintupled. Our social media presence, by any number you want, it has really, we are doing really amazingly well. And while these numbers are impressive, but they still do not reflect properly the overall cultural shift that has happened and continues to happen, the inclusive excellence efforts at our school, the foundational corrections that have been made and we're still making, and in line with our rapid ascension to one of the true players amongst the engineering schools, including our nerds, as you've heard, colleagues. So it's a huge sense of excitement, but that's the work of a team and the team is not only inside the school, the team includes all of you, because we couldn't do this without your help. So I know it was a long-winded answer to your question, but I thought I would just kind of set us up for going forward.
Sure. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, you talked about, well, certainly we're on an upward trajectory, and I'm confident that that trajectory will just continue to head in the upward direction. But research, students first, community, and foundations are the strategic pillars at NYU Tandon. What new and exciting things are happening with research and faculty that you can share with us?
So, I mean, it would be it's almost hard to know where to start. You see behind my head something that has become a de facto strategy for us. These are the 7 areas of research excellence that we have. But in the end, what these 7 areas and kind of we're nerds. So it's a Venn diagram, right? And so inside the 3 inside ones are more technology oriented, while the 4 outside ones are more application domain oriented. And they all intersect, of course. You can have medical robotics and trying to make it secure for, securing patient data. And so these, what I think is very important here is that these areas of research thrust kind of give us the mission that we said we want to be engineering, and then we have an adjective for each one of them: creative and smart, connected and secure, sustainable and healthy urban and global communities. Because while today 1 in 2 people live in an urban community, by 2050 it will be 7 out of 10. So doing research that impacts those communities is of utmost importance. And we sit in the biggest urban lab in the world, in New York City and Brooklyn in particular. And so we have used these, if you want, these circles to guide almost everything we do. So we already have a center-like effort associated with one of them, with each one of these areas. So for example, we have a world-renowned center for wireless called NYU Wireless. And in fact, 2 of our founding director and our current director, who, by the way, are the fathers of 5G wireless, their groundbreaking papers set up the stage for what we know as 5G wireless today, have both been elected to the National Academy of Engineering. So Ted Rappaport this year, and Tom Arzetta last year. So that's one center. Then we have Center for Cybersecurity corresponding to another area. We have C2 Smart, a transportation center, also the Center for Urban Science and Progress that correspond to the urban area. We have a Center for Responsible AI. We are working on the Center for Electrification of Chemical Industry that would be a sort of a sustainability fitting in that one. We are working on an academic healthcare tech hub that would be a health engineering institute. So we are sort of using this as a guide for almost everything we do. And while you ask me about sort of research and what we have done there, and you have seen our research expenditures exploding, we use this also for hiring. So we hire in clusters corresponding to this. We use it for education. So we are coming up with degrees that correspond to our areas of strength, and also what it is that is needed today, right? You know, some degrees from years ago might not be that relevant anymore. We use this for entrepreneurial initiatives. We use this for our communications and marketing, including, let's say, a digital campaign, you know, at airports, transit centers, and so on. So it has become de facto strategy from the school, even though we started it as identifying what are our core research areas of excellence. And I'm sorry, while mentioning accolades of our more senior faculty members, I want to mention that this year we added 2 more junior people, Anna Koromanska and Chris Masko, to the NSF Career Awardees, which is the highest honor NSF bestows upon young researchers. And they join more than 50% of our junior faculty who have some sort of a junior career award like accolade. So that just tells us, or tells all of us, what caliber of people we are able to hire. And, you know, I can just tell you, you know, they're all smarter than us, so which is a great thing. So, you know, they'll get tenure, and, you know, I think my tenure case next to their tenure case would be very poor, I think. So thank God I have it already.
So when you think about the faculty present, any sense for faculty we may be able to attract?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm saying. We are now the faculty we're able to attract are faculty who are getting offers from the top 10 places. So we are a real player. I have to say that New York City and Brooklyn play a really big role in it, because they're growing tech hubs. So there is a lot of excitement about being here. There is a really strong connection to the arts and media, to the financial industry, but also to healthcare. So our School of Medicine, Langone, is one of the best in the world. So people who are interested in any sort of a health or bio applications are really very attracted by the fact that we have a new biomedical engineering department that started just before I came, and that's populated basically half with faculty from Tandon and half faculty from the School of Medicine. And what is also really interesting is that the faculty who sit in that department, there are 3 chairs from Tandon who sit in the chair of electrical and computer engineering, the former chair of computer science, the chair, of course, of biomedical engineering, an associate dean, and then 4 chairs from the School of Medicine. Just tells you how exciting that new department is. And this is also where new degrees will be offered. We have a new PhD in biomedical engineering, and potentially some sort of an undergraduate degree that would combine or be completely new. We already have biomolecular sciences, so we'll have to see, what will come out of it, but very exciting.
And so that leads right into a question, because we're talking about students, and one of the pillars is students first. So the progress and developments that are underway or with the student body and campus facilities, I imagine that the curriculum and the approach to instruction is probably much different than it was certainly years ago. What can you share about that?
No, absolutely. I mean, I will share for all of us who are engineers, and we all seem to be, at least what I'm seeing from pictures, to be of a certain age. So we have gone to school a while ago, and today the needs are very different. I mean, we went through very rigid and very deep sort of education, but that was narrowly defined by someone and didn't allow a lot of flexibility for people to create their own paths, especially because today, I mean, engineering is really a team sport. It always was, but today it's a team sport on a much broader level because everything depends on technology. So you can't say that you're going to work alone as an electrical engineer to solve a problem. No, that's not possible. And it's not even only within engineering, it's across engineering and other fields. So one big initiative that we did the first year I came was to kind of break up that rigid curriculum that really kind of had its history in something that was happening a while ago and didn't move very much with the times to allow for, I think now almost every major has 15 free credits where students can pursue a minor, or they can get, for example, a new thing that we had, internship for credit, or they can do one of other kind of experiential learning initiatives like vertically integrated projects for credit. And we are still working towards creating this really innovative sort of engineer of the 21st century curriculum, looking at potential co-op structure where students could take 1 or 2 semesters off and work in industry, looking for potential common first year for all undergraduate majors. We have completely, we have kind of sunset our previous honors program and created a new one that we call GLASS, Global Leaders and Scholars in STEM. We wanted to use what differentiates NYU from other universities, and that's incredible global footprint. Right. So asking these kids to, in their freshman year, apply for this program, and then with a cohort of only 25 per year, they have an incredible opportunity to attend leadership seminars and all kinds of development opportunities, and are required to essentially have some global experience. Initially, we wanted them to spend the spring semester of their sophomore year in Abu Dhabi, and then COVID hit, so the poor first cohort already couldn't do that, but they may spend a J term now in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi has been a really great partner to us and have this Engineers for Social Impact program where they would take kids around the world in two-week stints, and they would work on real engineering problem that could solve a problem for a community. That could be electrification, or could be clean water, or could be, you know, something that has to do with healthcare. So that's very exciting. So we started this, and we are now have a big effort on starting what we call experiential learning center. And that would be essentially the embodiment of this idea of the holistic engineer. So as a bridge and an umbrella between the curricular and co-curricular, because we have so many of these multidisciplinary project and making and experiential learning based options. We have leadership opportunities, service learning, specific study abroad experiences. We want to bring all this under one umbrella as step one. As step two, and that includes career services and helping kids learn how to navigate this and get them the best jobs possible. And then as step two, we want to create a structure such that some portion of these activities are required for graduation and are sort of coded into the curriculum and individualized to each program, so that you don't have to reinvent it for scratch every year. But you know, you want these kids to come out and be professionals and team members, so that you know, they kind of do us proud when they go out there. And then the third step is a little more of a moonshot stage, and you know, requires a lot of physical infrastructure. Having a physical hub that would essentially be that would be potentially be connected somehow, floor up or down from our makerspace. That requires some thinking, as we are really, like everybody in New York City, we are strapped for space. And we have started working with the university to basically reset completely our capital plan, meaning our space plan, because not only are we out of space for things like the one I just mentioned, but we are also out of space for research labs. That's very specialized space. And so that requires stepping back because our current capital plan was made with the assumptions of a few years ago, and we have exploded in every possible sense, in numbers, in quality, in the type of people we bring, and so on. So we'll have to figure something out. I'm sorry, I'm just going to try to bring down my shade because I can see I have an unearthly glow here.
Sure. On that same note, that was certainly one of the areas I was interested in probing, knowing that in a city, the type of campus that we have, space probably was typically a premium versus a campus that's set off all on its own. But I can also say that we were sort of a bit ahead of the curve with our online offerings. And I think there's some things that our audience might want to know about them and where, and the recognition that we may have received with some of the online offerings, particularly in cybersecurity and others. What can you share with us?
Sure. So I mean, we are a powerhouse when it comes to online offerings. Not taking any credit for this. This started long before I came in. A number of programs that are offered, such as Cyber Fellows, together with industry. We have a very interesting program that's called Bridge that allows kids who have a degree in a non-STEM discipline to take, I think now it's $1,800, so it's relatively cheap, a 3-4 month completely online course of study that would then allow them to take a master's in something like computer science or cyber fellows. We have a cyber program with the School of Law. We're just looking for some new offerings, such as build your own master's. That would be sort of like you create your own master's out of a menu of options. We are working with a number of our number of other schools at NYU, and also campuses like Abu Dhabi and Shanghai to see if we can create some sort of hybrid online offerings that would be maybe low residency, or that could be, a semester in Shanghai, a semester online through Tandon. So we have a huge number of very innovative and interesting partnerships, including 4+1. Somebody gets a degree from some other school, and then they can get entrance to one of our online master's programs. And I don't know if I mentioned, but the number of master students at Tandon has also exploded. So when COVID hit, this actually served us really well. And I think it was one of the reasons why we fared so well. The last March, in March of 2020, as you may imagine, of course, our finances are dependent on student tuition, especially on graduate student tuition, because the undergraduate one, almost 40% we return to the students in form of financial aid. And, usually our split is 80% international, 20% domestic. Now we have changed this somewhat, but, it was a question of survival. Are we going to make it? If none of these students came to Tandon or NYU, what do you do? And so we came up with all kinds of creative things that happen online. One idea was, it was like a 3 or 4-legged stool that we created for last summer 2020. So one was, we had our best online courses and best online teachers, and we offered them essentially for free to incoming graduate students. So when they would come in, if they did well, they could use it for credit. So somehow we tried to use it as a hook to attract them to Tandon, and to see that properly done in a curricular way and from the pedagogical point of view, online offerings can be fantastic. The problem is when it's not properly done and when you don't know how to do it. The other thing that we did is we did the entrepreneurial challenges during COVID with cash prizes only for incoming students. And they were solving problems that were identified by our School of Medicine as useful in the COVID realm. And again, that was another sort of online type of thing that was done, where students were actually building things at home with each other to be able to participate in this kind of entrepreneurial challenge. And if they came to Tandon, they would get help to even develop this potentially to a company. So we had an enormous amount of sort of head start, I would say, because we have an entire, I don't want to call it an online department because it's embedded in the entire school, but it is essentially an online department that does know exactly how do you create proper online offerings. They could be, and you know what, another thing that's important to say, that online is not purely online. I mean, there's a whole sort of horizontal axis of purely traditional to purely online, and many things in between, where people can come for some sort of residency, or it can be hybrid, or it can be a flipped classroom, and so on. So I
Sure.
think that helped us a lot.
Sure. I imagine our PhD student population has also changed.
I mean, that's what you hear from the faculty, absolutely, right? The not only the numbers that have skyrocketed in terms of applications, and our goal, we were at a couple of hundred PhD students a few years ago. Now we're at 400 PhD students, and that's a lot. That switch is an important one, because the reputation as an engineering school is based really in large part on research, and the PhD students are key to that portion of the formula. And as well, these are, the quality of these students has gone up, tremendously, and also their expectations once they come in. We have also started efforts by using what we have a new fellowship offer from the Dean's office called Future Leaders, that are meant to attract women and underrepresented minority PhD students in cohorts, because we would have a few scattered around the school, but they are sort of on their own. Instead, if we try to bring them in cohorts, they're going to be a support to each other and be able to kind of grow. So sort of a positive feedback type of an effort. And we are already doing well this first year. So hopefully it will just become better.
Great, fantastic. So you touched on it, and there's a question that I have here regarding our reputation among leading engineering schools. What can you share about that? We've made some significant progress over the last years, but what can you share about that progress more recently?
So, if you look at the rankings, in the last 4 years, we went from 45 to 36. That's amazing. And this is given that schools like Princeton and Columbia and many others have tumbled down a few spots. So, my hope was that we would stay still. The fact that we went up 2 was just amazing. And, we are very involved at the national level. So I'm on the executive board of the Association for Engineering Education, Dean's Council. That means that we are visible. And that's very important, because to be honest, our name changes and merging and unmerging and all of this, yeah, it's great, but it confused people a lot. They didn't know anymore who we were, right? So it was important to orient people and understand that there is a long sort of thread that goes back all the way back to the 19th century, right? And it's a school that, while it had, some hard times over the years, it was also the school that in the 60s and 70s, those of you who are here today, was one of the top engineering schools in the country, right? In electrical engineering, in polymer science, in many of these areas, we were at the top. And so kind of coming back to this top feels very satisfying. And so we are seen as a leader in many areas, and many of them are actually connected to what you see behind my head.
Very good. How can alumni be supportive of the strategic pillars and the developments underway at Tandon?
Say again, I'm sorry, I missed this.
How can alumni be supportive of the strategic pillars and the developments underway at Tandon?
Well, I mean, it's clear that this has already happened, but I think the biggest help is one to our students. So as mentors, as a networking opportunity, as connecting our researchers to the companies where you work or people you know. So basically extending your networks to us. And the more of this happens, the better it is. I mean, ideally, I would like every undergraduate student to have an alumni mentor, because in the end, they can't really see which ways their paths can go. They have a very sort of linear view of their potential future. And we all know that this is not how our careers go, right?
Right.
They have a very winding road, and sometimes they end up somewhere you never thought you would end up at. And so these perspectives and personal attention is, invaluable to people. So apart from their academic advisors and mentors, and so having alumni mentors is of great, great value and help.
Very good. We have about 10 minutes, and I wanted to get to at least one question from the audience. I have one that's from a parent, and a sophomore parent, and her son hasn't mentioned anything about a spring semester in one of our international locations, Abu Dhabi. Is that available to him in 2022?
Oh, I see, Carol, that's from you. So what I mentioned there was, the honors program GLASS, but there are a number of different opportunities, global opportunities available to all our undergrads, not only to the GLASS ones. And he's a sophomore, and what program is he in?
He's in chemical and biomolecular engineering.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, because what they have worked on is creating a pathway for every major so that they can tell the kids what is the best way to connect them to go somewhere and in which semester. Valerie, if we could connect Carol with Sarah Ramswack, Sarah would be able to answer this question in detail for a specific major.
We'll make that happen, Yelena. Thank you.
Okay. And I have a question, if you don't mind, Robert, that is here directly to me about the undergraduate application process. Because it's directly to me, I won't say what the question is. I just wanted to say, we don't run our undergraduate application process. This is Central NYU. So if you'd like to send me an email, and I'll put it here. I'm just typing in, that person left. Maybe I'll follow up with you, Valerie, and tell you who that was to answer this.
Yes, Yelena, I know that they stepped off the call. So
Okay.
we've also copied it, and we're going to put them in contact with the right department and people.
Right, and I don't know how much you know this. I mean, the undergraduate admissions are done completely at the central level. Where we come in at Tandon is essentially trying to do our own, events for prospective students, for admitted students, and so on. But we have no input whatsoever in the actual admission process. What we do is just give sort of targets per program, how many slots we have, but who gets accepted, we really don't have a say at all. I think it's important for this to be. It's different. We run our graduate admissions completely, but the undergraduate admissions at the university are completely centralized.
Okay, very good. There's one other item that I'm aware of as president of the Alumni Association. There was a discussion about an industry board. Can you share just a tiny bit about the thoughts there?
Yeah, so we would really like, again, industry is vital for us from many points of view. It is very important to us also from a research point of view, in view of the fact that, federal funding has been flat or essentially declining in real dollars over the past few decades. Things could be changing now. We will have to see. But to support our research, we have to have a much more robust industrial collaborations. And people do this on their own, but having an industry board that could guide us both on this and also what the needs of the industry are, so that we can have a real world input into also our curricular thinking.
Great, thank you. Well, we have just 5 minutes left, and I wanted to invite anyone that's with us today. If you have a question, feel free to enter that in the chat, and we can address that. Okay, doesn't seem like we have any. All right, well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Please continue to enjoy all the exciting alumni and parent programs being offered this weekend, and think about how you would like to engage the school. And of course, let us know how we can be of service to you as our alumni. There are 2 additional events. There's one next week at the Naval Yard, and there's an event thereafter. And please, by all means, come join us for our events. It's a great way to network and a great way to learn more about the university. So it's with that we hope that you and your loved ones continue to stay safe and healthy. Take great care.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yelena, Robert, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, and